Welcome to the first ever episode of the Big Burger Podcast. We are your hosts, Richie and
What's up, guys? It's Eddie here.
we're just a couple of dudes who love college football, and we thought that it would be an interesting dynamic for the show. Me being a Miami fan and Eddie being a Florida State fan to talk about college football from the scope of two rival schools. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Richie and
no,
I have been friends for quite a few years now. And besides golf, the one thing we definitely have in common is college football. We can't stop talking about it, whether it's
absolutely.
through Twitter, Instagram, messaging, phone calls. So we thought, why not just record our conversations and put it out there for the world to hear?
Exactly. So, for this first ever episode, let's just give a little bit of a background for each of us so people are aware of, our fandom and where it came from and all that. So I'll start it off. I am I am basically a lifelong UM fan. I've been going to games since I was a little kid. My earliest memory, I would say, is when I saw UM play LSU in the Peach Bowl in 2005, I believe, or 2004, something like that. Um,
That's
I
awesome.
also I've been to I went to a million games in the old Miami Orange Bowl before they tore it down. I went to the last game ever in the Orange Bowl versus Virginia in 2007. That I remember vividly. Um, went to a bunch of games there, and then when they moved to the new stadium, to the Dolphins Stadium, went to a bunch of games, throughout like my childhood, throughout high school, whatever. So my favorite game that I've ever been to in person was back in 2017. I went to UM versus Virginia Tech here at home. UM was ranked around 10 in the country. Virginia Tech was ranked or like in the high teens or low 20s. So it was a ranked matchup, and we were undefeated at that point, and the crowd was packed, and it was a crazy atmosphere, and the tailgate was insane. And I went with one of my friends, like longtime friends, who's also a diehard, and we just had a lot of fun, and it was like a crazy atmosphere, and we ended up beating them by like 20, so it wasn't even close, and it was a great game. Some other notable games I've been to in person. I went to, like I said before, the 2005 Peach Bowl. We got smacked by LSU. Um, I went to the 2016 Russell Athletic Bowl when UM played West Virginia, and we actually won that game. That was fun. Went to the 2017 Orange Bowl when UM played Wisconsin, and we lost. It was a closer game, but we lost. That game was actually a lot of fun, and there were a lot more Wisconsin fans than I thought there would be, but like they travel well, and it was a lot of fun. But obviously, the game, like, we lost, so it wasn't like super happy afterwards. But it was fun. I also went to the 2018 Orange Bowl, and that didn't include UM. It was a college football playoff semifinal game between Alabama and Oklahoma, and that was crazy. And the game itself wasn't a lot of fun because Alabama just ended up routing Oklahoma, but the atmosphere was crazy and the fans were hyped. Um, some other of my favorite games, 2018 FSU at home was lit. I mean, we came back from down 20. Um, so that was a lot of fun. 2021 versus FSU at FSU. That was a crazy game that obviously we lost. I think Eddie will talk more about that,
That is one of my favorite games for sure.
but my second, not my second favorite game, but it would have been my favorite game if we had won, was back in 2019 when UM played Florida in a neutral site game, as like in week 0, and
That
it was
was
in
fun.
Orlando. And the game was like it was kind of like a crappy game because both teams were playing like, it wasn't like an amazing like looking game. It was like in the low 20s, but it was close and it came down to the wire. And that atmosphere was absurd. We didn't really tailgate because you can't really tailgate much at that stadium, but like we pre-gamed, and um, you
Was
know,
it the Camping World Stadium?
yes,
Okay,
yes, it
okay,
was in that
cool.
stadium. The stadium's all right. It's whatever. but it was a fine location. Obviously, it makes perfect sense for the two schools.
Yeah.
Um, there were definitely more UF fans, but UM had a good show out in terms of fans, and like there was so much trash talk. There was so much um I don't know, like
Animosity.
animosity
Yeah.
between the two fan bases, and like we rarely play each other, so it was just an interesting dynamic that we're so close to each other like regionally, but we never play each other. So when we do, it just like there's a ton of pent up like hatred that comes out, which is a lot of fun. But that game was awesome, and it would have been my favorite game I've ever been to if we had won, but we choked it away at the end.
That's definitely a
But
rivalry that needs to be played annually for sure.
definitely. Um,
It's too much fun.
yeah. I even remember the last time we played in 2013 when we actually won. I didn't go to the game, but I remember seeing it vividly on TV.
Mm.
And like it was another disgusting game. It was like 20-12 or so. It was like a Big Ten game. It was horrible. But like we actually won that game, and it was like it was hype. It was hype. So yeah, no, with that, let's turn it
Well,
over to you, Eddie.
I'll say a few of my favorite games, but just to say one thing really quick, I am excited. Next season I will be or this coming season in about a month and a half, in a month and a week or so, I will be attending Florida State versus LSU in that same stadium, Camping World Stadium. And funny enough, FSU finished their season last season at that stadium in the bowl game versus Oklahoma. So
True.
just a little fun fact, but I am excited to go, and that's gonna be probably will be my favorite game ever. But for now, I'll speak about a few of my favorite games. So I grew up I didn't grow up a college football fan, at least from like until like 10 years old. Um, but I had a friend growing up around like fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, around that time, that his dad was an FSU alum, and he was a great Seminole, big time Seminole, huge fan. Um, and whenever I would go to his house on Saturdays, or I would always watch the games with him, and it was a good time. And he wore, apparel and had like posters. It was a great time, and that's where I grew into liking FSU. And they were growing as a team, as a program at the time. Finishing the Bowden years, but growing into the Jimbo Fisher years. And of course, when you're one of your really good friends and his family are rooting for a team, like you go over so much, you start naturally rooting for that team. And how could you not root for them after they win the 2013 season, the BCS, the last year of the BCS? So that's when, that whole era, I started becoming a big fan, and just watching FSU play, watching college football in general, all the big rivalry games. I wasn't watching like every game or keeping up with every team at the time, but at the time, that's when I started watching like rivalry games and just a bunch of those games. Slowly but surely coming into my own, and then going into college, I went to FSU for my second 2 years of college. I transferred there, and around that time, that's when everything blew up. Like I became a super fan, went to a bunch of games, and definitely my one of my favorite games is, as Richie mentioned, the FSU versus Miami game in 21. Going up big in the first half and then slowly losing that lead. I thought Miami was really gonna beat us. I was like, oh man, here we go. Same thing as the last couple of years. We're gonna lose in some horrible fashion. And we ended up winning in a very nice fashion. So that was a lot of fun. I was at that game with my family and friends, and great time, great tailgating. Um, Another one of my favorite games was this past season, like last season, FSU versus UF in at Doak. That game was just super awesome. It was nice to beat UF. I mean, I love beating UM, but I love beating UF even more. That's like the best. Especially hearing those fans like complaining, oh, ooh, like SEC, SEC, like fuck you guys. But whatever. And definitely my favorite game, although we lost this game, I really enjoyed it a lot. It was the first game of the season for us in 2021, Notre Dame versus FSU. Notre Dame was ranked number 9 going into that matchup. FSU was unranked because the last few seasons were, we were horseshit. And we go into that game. No one really knew who the quarterback was gonna be until like they announced it like earlier. But everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna be Travis. It's gonna be McKenzie." The fans wanted McKenzie. Jordan Travis kind of like messed it up a little bit in the beginning, and then he actually ended up playing pretty well. But the fans got super upset because we were in a losing state at that time. McKenzie did really well, and watching him play, watching him ball, um the team, especially Mackenzie Milton, coming back and tying Notre Dame and losing at the very end, but that was a lot of fun. That atmosphere was crazy, and if you watch the replays on YouTube, one of my favorite highlights is the 90-yard touchdown rush from Jayshon Corbin. Like if you see the stadium, it's like everyone's going nuts. It's awesome, super awesome. But yeah, those are my favorite games, and that's how I came into liking this school and this program.
Nice, nice. So no, yeah, like as I mentioned before, like we're obviously way more knowledgeable of like the ACC and our two teams, but talking about college football from like that slant, I don't know, I would think would be interesting.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, there's roughly 6 weeks or so before the first games of the college football season in week 0. So we kind of decided that we would give our win totals predictions for each power conference. One conference per per episode per week leading up to the first game. So we decided that we're gonna tackle the Pac-12 first and then go come back east as the weeks go on.
The mighty
So,
Pac-12.
the mighty Pac-12, which in recent years there's definitely an argument that they've been the worst Power 5 conference by far.
Yeah.
But coming into this year, it seems like they have at least 4, 5, maybe 6 solid teams. And by solid teams, I mean like ranked teams, ranked highly teams, and then a few playoff contenders for sure.
Yeah.
Way more than the ACC and probably more than the Big 12.
Yeah.
So they're definitely not in the basement anymore. They're not burgers anymore, at least for this year.
They're not the big burger of the country, not the big burger conference. That is definitely the ACC this year, at least for now, looking at it in a preseason lens.
Right.
But the Pac-12 looks strong, at least for now. They probably will be strong throughout the season, and hopefully for them, they could throw in a playoff team there.
Right.
But
which they haven't had since Washington in what, 2017
16,
or so?
16. Yeah.
16. Jeez, like it's been
Yeah. It's been too long.
a long time for that conference.
But so where should we start first with
So let's
the
do
win
it from-
totals and the win total
let's do it from
projections?
the highest win totals downward. So on that basis, we would start with USC, the University of Southern California, with a
USC.
win total according to DraftKings at 10. And the over is at plus 100, so a little bit of value, and the under is at minus 120, but it's pretty even.
Last year for USC at this conference, gonna be an interesting ride for them.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you and I have noticed and a lot of people have noticed is that these schedules tend to be very backloaded. The last couple of weeks are definitely stronger than the first couple of weeks. And USC schedule is no joke. Not only do they have to play a lot of the top powers in the Pac-12, but they also have to fight traditional rival Notre Dame at Notre Dame. So it's definitely not going to be easy.
Oh yeah.
What is the projected win total for USC again?
10, exactly 10.
10.
Yep. 10's a tough number. I think 10 is a really good number for them.
I think it's a good number too. I think it's tough. I think it's super doable though. I mean, last season they had 3 losses, right? And 2 of them came to Utah.
Right. No, yeah, they went 11-1. So they
went 11-1 in the regular season with
we're
only
asking,
one
like,
loss to Utah.
Vegas thinks they're gonna do a game worse this year. So that's, I don't know. What do you make of that?
I make that the Pac-12 is probably the Pac-12 is probably stronger this year than last year.
Yeah,
and for sure the odds makers perceive it to be stronger, even if
definitely
it isn't stronger itself. They perceive it to be stronger.
Right.
And Notre Dame should be stronger as well, like Sam Hartman and all that. So
they have 2 legitimately tough road games at Notre Dame, at Oregon.
Yeah.
And they have to play Washington, and they play their annual game against UCLA. So, and they have to play Utah. Those 3 are at home, but there's still a gauntlet of freaking schedule for the Pac-12.
Yeah. The Washington Oregon like Washington at home at Oregon. That's tough. That's gonna be.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know whether I
that
want to say trap game, but it's a tough one. It's big. It's there.
right. No, it's definitely big. I probably would consider it trap just because Washington is that good and Oregon is that good. If there's any trap game on the schedule, I would say it's like I don't want to say it, but but at Colorado after they travel to Arizona State, back-to-back road games. Colorado maybe gets lucky, but
Yeah,
I don't see a crazy trap game.
I don't see a crazy like not a crazy one in the traditional sense of a trap game for sure.
Yeah, like at
But
Cal, like I don't know, like
looking at it, the outer conference should be at least, I mean, for sure 2 wins. Maybe even three. I, the
I think
loss
they're
is definitely
definitely a
there.
better team than Notre Dame,
The
but
loss is definitely there, but is there two or three, or is there just one?
right, right. I
Looking at it
so
from last season, I think the defense should be better with the transfers they added. They added a transfer from Georgia. I think the defense should be better, and they still have Caleb Williams. So
right, and he's like, I mean, he's leads the odds in Heisman, like he's the Heisman favorite again.
yeah,
So like I think he has a legitimate chance to be the first like multiple winning Heisman since Ohio State did it with I forgot the name now, but I know a Ohio State guy did it.
a long time
Um
ago.
yeah, a long time ago. But I created a kind of algorithm, not super complicated, but it takes into account the position group ratings for each, position group from last year, combines recruiting from the last 4 cycles, and then combines returning production from last year. And I got an even 10 for USC. So I really have no like leaning towards either side. If I absolutely had to pick, I would say under, but I seriously think 10 is like the perfect number. If I had to pick, I would lean under.
I I'm gonna take the over. I just I think that's I think if they could
They're
just do
that
what they
good. I
did
mean, they're
last
really
season,
good.
if they could just do what they did last season, they should hit the over. Also, last season was at Utah. If I'm pretty
Right.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it was at
And they lost
Utah,
by 1 point. So
and Utah is hard to play over there.
right.
Um, I'll take the over, but this is like
I don't love it.
SEC fans, you can't even hate on the schedule. It's not an easy schedule at all. It's not a cupcake schedule. Not a cupcake schedule at all.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
so yeah, I like the over, you like the
I would,
under.
yeah, no. I mean, I'm leaning under, but I would not be surprised like at all if it goes over. Like not even close.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if they lost like two in a row at any given time. I mean, Notre Dame, Utah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Washington, Oregon. It's just a tough schedule, but
Yeah.
with that, who do
With
we
that,
go on to next?
so there are a couple of teams that have the next highest win total at 9.5. There's Washington and Oregon. Which one you want to hit first?
Let's go with let's go with Washington. I like Washington
Okay,
more. Yeah,
nice.
and these two
So
teams are the only two teams to make the college football playoff in its current state from the Pac-12.
true. Yeah,
Interesting.
that's so true. And for Washington, the odds are for over 9.5, it's at plus 125, and then under it's minus 145. So it's a little bit favored for the under, which is interesting.
Looking at their schedule, um, man, that bye week, you seen that bye week?
That bye week, I don't know, they're
Like
the
it's so
Pac-12.
it doesn't really like
It doesn't help them
it
at
doesn't
all.
help them at all. That's exactly what I was
Yeah.
referring to. They have almost no, not even almost. Basically all their hardest games after that bye week.
Yeah, yeah. They do it, I mean, it's definitely an easier schedule than USC. They dodge UCLA. Um,
And then they replaced Notre Dame with Michigan State, which
right.
should be easier.
Their non-con should be no problem 3-0.
Yeah.
Should be. And Michigan State, obviously, I'd rather play them in September than like November, but Washington's used to the cold anyway. But
Mhm.
Michigan State is definitely not an easy place to play, but I really have no idea what they're going to be next year.
Yeah,
I have no,
exactly.
I don't think they're going to be that good.
And as you
So,
said, way better to play them earlier and get it over
right.
with than wait, like let them become something and come together.
Yeah. Or let them play in the friggin' cold in late November or something.
East Lansing.
Um, I don't know. What do you think? 9.5. Do you see 3 losses?
I see last season 10-2. Um, I'm pretty sure 10-2, and then they won the bowl game.
Mhm.
Uh, they should go to that bye week 5-0. And then, with the 7 games remaining, I can see them going 5-2 there.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
the,
definitely.
this like at Stanford and then going at USC, that's tough. But the rest of it is not really like the order of the
They can,
games is
right.
not really that terrible
They
for
can
them.
afford to lose to USC on the road, which is likely, and then lose one more and still go over.
Yeah,
So
and that
I
could even put
kind
them
of,
in the Pac-12 championship too.
yeah, I kind of like the over, and I
I
like
like the over.
Penix
Yeah,
too.
I think 9.5. I think this could have been a 10.
Yeah,
What do
yeah,
you
I think
think?
it's a little, and it's interesting because the value is on the under. So like, I mean, the value, like the plus value is on the over. So
Hmm.
like, we would get positive value. And
Yeah,
my little algorithm here says 9 wins, and I don't even like that.
yeah. I I
I
think
don't like that.
I think the odds makers didn't. I mean, maybe they know more than us. I mean, that's why they're the odds makers. But
Mhm.
I don't think they're right here. I
The difference, yeah, no, the difference is that last year their defense was so much worse than their offense. Their offense was amazing, but their defense was putrid. So
Mhm.
So maybe they're taking that into account, but they have electric wide receivers and obviously a Heisman contender in Penix. So,
Yeah, Penix is good. I like the
so
over.
I would say lean over and with
Yeah,
good value too.
lean over as well. That one, I think that one could put a we could put a
And that
Big
puts
Burger
them at 10-2
podcast.
at least, and that's really good.
We could put a Big Burger podcast seal of approval on the over right there.
Right, right. Not
That's for sure.
extremely confident, but moderately confident.
Yeah. And then you said next was
So
Oregon, right?
yes, Oregon at 9.5.
The
Similar
big
odds,
O.
plus 100 for the over and minus 120 for the under. Nine and a
Hmm.
half.
Again, this
Interesting.
this bye week is funny because again, of all these like most of these schedules, very backloaded. The bye week
Hmm.
really okay, it kind of helps because you're going at Washington, so it's gonna be good to be rested for that for sure.
Hmm.
But then after that, all the easiest games are in the beginning. Their only tough game before the bye week is at Texas Tech. And
Hmm.
I personally think Oregon's gonna win that game, but they
But I
could
could
lose
see
that
them
game.
losing for
Yeah, I
sure.
could see them losing. Um, Anything else stand out to you, like noticeably, of the
So
schedule?
for me with Oregon, there's I have like I have an issue with, not an issue, just like a concern for how their second year head coach, will respond to him going 9-3 the previous year.
Hmm.
Um, Oregon was pretty good, before Lanning took over, right? They had a couple of 10-win seasons. They were decent, right? It's not like Washington that had a couple of really down years and then, the new coach came in and they went 10-2.
Hmm.
Oregon came, they hired the new coach, they went 9-3. I think this year, more than anything, will prove whether Lanning was the right hire or not. If
Yeah,
he excels and he goes 9-3, 10-2, 11-1, then absolutely 100% Oregon is on the right track and they found the right guy. But there is a scenario where I could see them do worse than 9 wins, and that definitely wouldn't sit well with Oregon fans.
it
But
wouldn't.
with that being said, Bo Nix is definitely a Heisman contender. He's really good. Their schedule is tough for them to go 10-2, but absolutely doable. I think 9.5 is a really, really good number. At Washington is tough, but they could definitely win. At Utah is even tougher, but even they could go they could go 12-0, but like,
Yeah,
them them having two losses to, like, to have just in case, and them still going over, is pretty favorable.
it is very
I would
favorable.
lean I would lean over,
I would lean over
but I'm
too.
I'm not
I
super confident in that.
I see them. I think. I mean, a lot of the schedules and for like a lot of the teams in the FBS, you have like
Mm,
a little test in the beginning of a non-con.
right, right.
And then if you win that game, the over looks
You
a
should
hell
make
of a
the
lot
over look
better.
so much better, right?
Yeah. If they win the Texas Tech game, I'm very confident the over hits. I mean, I could be wrong, but if
Mm.
they don't win the Texas Tech game, I'm
And
very
and
confident
I
the under
right.
hits.
I wish I would have picked the under. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. If you want to, like, might as well put your money on whether Oregon wins this game, Texas Tech,
Yeah,
because rather than like having to sweat out the whole season, because if they win that game, they're probably going over.
yeah, they're gonna be a good team.
I don't see them losing to Washington and Utah and USC. Not all three. No way. They're going to
Mhm.
be one of those three teams for
Yeah,
sure. For
and
sure.
and they probably will take the revenge on Oregon State. I mean, you
Yeah,
could
I just
like,
don't
and
think Oregon State has like the talent. So
yeah,
I think
I
Oregon
agree.
will definitely, with the revenge factor too, with the emotional factor, I think they'll definitely,
Yeah, rivalry game, anything can happen, but I agree with you 100%
yeah.
there for sure.
Okay.
So
So we're
so
both leaning
over.
over. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty optimistic on these top teams in the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean the hype for a
There's a lot
few of
of hype.
them in particular is pretty big. Like
Yeah.
the hype for USC is big. Obviously a big national brand. The hype for Washington is big with Penix, and then the hype, the comeback kid, Bo Nix. That's a huge story there too. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another Heisman contender. So the top three teams with three, each of them having a Heisman contender, that's why we're probably so confident in them.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so let's see the next team. There's a bunch of teams here with the next highest win total. The next highest win total is 8.5, and three teams share that: Oregon State, UCLA, and Utah. Which
You
one
want
do you
to
want
do
to?
you want to do Oregon State since we just did Oregon, and we could expand
Sure, let's do
upon
it.
that.
8.5. The over is at +120, and the under is at -140.
So they're non-con, they should sweep. The non-con
The non-con
should
is
be a sweep.
pretty easy. Yeah.
3-0 there.
Mm,
They get actually so far the most favorable bye week of the schedules we've seen so far.
definitely, definitely. They have
Putting
7 and then a bye week. Yeah.
Yeah, and they get the bye week and then they play at Arizona, at Colorado. Like that is
That's
nice
interesting.
for them, you know? Like
That's
even
nice
though
for them for
like two of their away games are just after a bye week and they're both like to pretty not so good teams back to back. That's
Mhm.
awesome because then the next games are at home. Wow, this is an interesting
Yep.
schedule.
And important, super important.
I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
I think you're right of what you said earlier that the Oregon State's talent isn't as good as these other teams,
mm,
and they're just riding a
yeah,
high from last season, which is not to downplay they did well last season, but they're riding a
definitely,
high
definitely.
that the talent it doesn't match up basically.
Right. The only reason that I'm not high, that, like, just like you said, the only reason I'm not high on Oregon State is because of the talent. And over the past 4 recruiting cycles, they're average at 64th in the country in the composite.
What is
So,
what does your system say? What does your algorithm say?
my algorithm is so low on Oregon State
Oh wow.
because, yeah, like, I don't even want to tell you because it's like drastically lower than 8.5. So
No. Do they make
yeah,
a bowl
yeah.
game according to your algorithm?
No, they're under 6. They're under 6.
Wow. No,
Yeah.
okay, they definitely make a bowl game, bro.
Their returning production is, it's okay.
Yeah,
Let me see. It's 64%. It's okay. It's
it's okay.
fine. But for a team that the over is to win 9 games, I don't know. I don't know.
And
I I
with a
like the under.
conference that is so powerful this year.
Right. They do dodge USC, which is huge. But
Yes.
they could lose at Washington State, you know? Like the friggin' Pac-12 opener, they could lose. If they lose that thing, there's no way they're hitting the
If we're
over.
looking
At
at
Washington State,
if we're looking at the schedule, like if you were to guess, like if you it's at 8.5, to
mhm,
go over it's 9-3.
yeah.
Looking at the schedule, there's only like 3 games where I guess I could say it'll be like let's put some losses here. Utah,
Mhm, sure, sure.
Washington, and Oregon. The rest, Oregon State could win. Now
They could.
they could drop a game or two, but
They only
let's
have to
put the
drop one of those and it's the under. So I really, really like the under. I would probably put some money on that. But
you really think the under?
yeah, I think they lose at least 4, if not more.
I think you're making a lot of sense, but I don't think those 3 games are guaranteed losses. I think they win one of those
Yeah,
games,
yeah, for sure. For sure.
equalizes the loss that they would have against some burger team, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Like
But
they could beat Utah at home. Like that's for sure could happen. But then on the other side, I can see them losing at Colorado on that, second of 2 in a row on the road, you know?
yeah, they couldn't. I mean, maybe
Like I don't see a lot
I
of
doubt
like
it.
100% wins. I don't see any like a lot of locked wins
The
besides
only 100% wins here probably are the non-con
yeah, and then
and
maybe
and,
Stanford.
and maybe Sanford. Yeah, and then that's those are like guaranteed wins for sure.
I'm sorry, Oregon State fans. I just not super high.
Look, we love you. Thank you for kicking Florida's ass. That was awesome.
Right. That was
Everyone
fun.
loved
That
it.
was fun to
Everyone
watch.
appreciated it. But we're not high on you this year. DJ Ungalangle. Maybe it's time to go to the MLB.
Oh my
Congratulations on your draft pick.
Yeah, no, I mean us as ACC boys, we've definitely seen a lot of DJU, and he's just not that good.
That
But
guy's a burger.
maybe the Pac-12 is just a pass friendlier or like just an easier conference for him to deal with. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
But the ACC
yeah.
is pretty bad, so like I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Not
tough.
super
It's
high.
gonna be tough. But maybe
Yeah,
he has a Bo Nix year or something.
perhaps,
But Bo
perhaps.
Nix, I think Bo Nix could have
Bonix came from
I
friggin'
think Bo Nix was
SEC.
better than DJ back like in the
Right,
SEC.
right.
So whatever.
We'll
Um
see. Maybe we're completely wrong. We'll see.
yeah. Hey, maybe you go to a bowl game and you get to beat Florida again. That'll be awesome.
That would be cool.
Who's next?
So we got UCLA and Utah are also 8.5. Which one you want to hit first?
Let's do UCLA.
Nice.
Let's do UCLA. Something
In
something
their final year.
something yeah, final year, not related to this particular topic, but related to UCLA. I was just reminded that on Instagram not too long ago, like a couple hours ago, that LSU next year for their
Mhm.
non-con plays UCLA and USC.
What?
Yeah.
Are you
I I,
serious?
I knew they played USC, but I saw it. I was like,
They
dude,
play both LA schools in their
yeah, they
non-con
played both
in the
LA schools in
same.
their non-con.
That's
Two
kind of weird. That's
two
crazy.
very strong Big Ten schools, mind you.
Very regionally Big Ten schools.
Yeah. No, it's gonna
Um,
be awesome. But yeah, so
no, those should be good games. I mean,
those should
that's
be
super.
good games, man. And props to all 3 of those schools for scheduling that because
Yeah, LSU's. I don't know what you're thinking, but okay, good for
LSU's
you.
for the boys. LSU's for the boys for
Of
sure.
course, LSU's for the friggin' TV ratings. They don't give a
Yeah.
shit. Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Let's see.
All right. So looking
UCLA.
at UCLA, um,
Oh, just a side comment.
mhm.
I went to Los Angeles a couple months ago, and like when I go out of town, like I like to like see like what colleges are represented the most, and like I would think that USC has like more fans, crazier fan base, but when I went, it seemed pretty even. Like there was like
Wow.
a bunch of like little shops and stuff with like UCLA gear. There was like a pizza shop with like UCLA stuff. And obviously I saw a bunch of USC stuff also, but it seemed pretty even. And I only went for a few days, but from what I saw, it didn't seem like USC was like dominating or anything like in
Do you
like the
think it
fan
was like
base. It was
more like
pretty split.
Do you think it could have been more USC football and then UCLA basketball, or do you think
Maybe for sure.
maybe? Yeah.
But like I saw plenty of UCLA football, like a little
Oh
helmet there,
wow,
a little whatever.
interesting.
Yeah, like it was it was pretty split, but I don't know.
Big
That's
Ten
all I saw
country.
from there. Yes, absolutely Big Ten country.
All right. So looking at UCLA's schedule, the non-con pretty easy. Um, early bye week again. Um, the bye week.
Yes, that kind of sucks.
So they play three, you know, teams that they should be in the non-con the first 3 weeks. Then
Right, right,
get spicy, really spicy at Utah, and then a bye week.
right.
I don't know. It's just so strange.
The bye week is a little early, but I do like that they get Utah before like the
Yeah.
rest of the Pac-12. At least like, they
It,
probably won't win that game, but
it gives them
at
a
least
mental reset.
right. Like, you have three cupcakes to begin and you kind of like focus all like you know, whatever you have to do to prepare for Utah, and then you get a bye. So like that's I don't know. That's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at it though,
Like it's not
what
like they
is
play like Stanford first or something.
yeah, what is the over under um on UCLA now?
8.5.
Eight.
And it's like almost evenly split. -115 to the over, -105. Oh, sorry, -115 to the over, -105 to the under.
Well, they don't get Oregon or Washington here.
That's true. That's huge.
That is huge, and it's only 8.5.
That's such a good schedule. Yeah.
I think if, dude,
Y-
imagine if like I know they play USC, so USC cannot play itself or whatever, but imagine USC with the schedule. Like this is really,
I would crush the over if
I would
this
crush
was
the
USC.
12-0. That's or at least 11-1, but
Yeah, it's a little difficult to find four losses here. I can see at Utah and at USC, those are
sure.
obvious. At Oregon State could be tough. At Arizona could be tough, but I don't think they lose, both of those.
Uh-huh. Wait, give me
At Stanford, I don't care about. They're gonna win. Stanford's really bad. Yeah. So yeah,
so
it's tough to see four losses
it
on
is
the
tough to
schedule.
see four
At
losses, as you mentioned,
least
at
surprising.
Utah,
Let me see.
at USC.
My algorithm's a little low on them, but I don't necessarily agree with it. It's pretty close.
Big
It's at 8.5, but like
since the
I don't know.
Pac-12
And I don't
this
love it.
year, since the Pac-12 this year has no like it's not a big middle class. I guess you could say UCLA is part of the middle class, but
But yeah, not even. Not
the
even.
yeah, not even the middle class is not big here.
Right.
And looking like seeing them lose to, I, I guess they could lose one of those games, like maybe a Washington State or a Stanford
Mhm.
or God forbid Colorado, but maybe they lose or one of those games like something that they
They
shouldn't
did go
lose
nine and
to.
three last year.
But exactly, they went 9-3. They have this. I'm pretty sure the quarterback that's playing for them is it was that 5-star kid from a little while ago, like the recruit. Um, Chip Kelly.
Is DTR gone?
Hmm?
DTR, is he gone?
Um, I don't know.
Let me see.
I
I don't
I
know.
I like the
Hold
over.
on.
I like the over. Um, yeah, finding four losses is difficult. Let's say let's say there's like two for sure losses, like in air quotes, USC
Mhm.
and Utah. I don't see two other losses though. It's kind of difficult for me to find two other losses. Like maybe they drop one to Stanford or
A
Arizona
random school.
State,
No.
it's just I'm really like having to really
Yeah, yeah,
dig deep here
definitely, definitely.
to find this third and then subsequently a fourth loss. Like I don't know. I,
So you like the over?
I like the over. It wouldn't surprise me if they go 8-4. Like, but like I could see
Yeah.
8-4. But I guess I just see 9-3 more likely or more often. I don't know.
Mhm.
I really don't see them losing to any of those like not like maybe one,
Yeah.
but not two. And then that's to say that they don't
Yeah.
beat
Yeah.
a Utah or USC, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not completely out of the question. Yeah, I don't like worst case scenario for them is that they do go 8-4 with
Hmm.
losses to like Oregon State and like Arizona. I think
Hmm.
that's like the worst case.
Yeah,
And they could easily beat both of those teams and maybe lose to another one, whatever, like another weird team. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I like 9-3 way more than I like 8-4.
I like 9-3. So with
Yeah.
that, let's go on to Utah, right?
Yes. Utah at 8.5 also. They are actually favored to they're like leaning under at -140 and the overs at +120.
Well,
So
as for Utah's schedule, they definitely have one of the most interesting schedules in the Pac-12, facing off against
mhm,
Florida, uh,
definitely
week one Thursday. That's gonna be cool. And
extremely
then
tough non-con.
yeah, extremely tough non-con. Florida, Baylor, and then they get all the Pac-12 schools. I think the bye week, like they have, of course, a backloaded schedule like most of these other teams, but the bye week is not in a bad spot. I think. It gives them some time to
Definitely with
recover
Layton, right?
after
Yeah,
all those first couple games.
definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna say it right off the bat. I think they're going under. They do not catch a break at all. They play the four best teams in the conference: Washington, Oregon, USC, and I guess UCLA or Oregon State. They play them both anyway, so those are the top five according to the win totals.
And most of those are
And they
away.
have to go to Baylor, so like that's just I don't see it. I don't see them going 9-3. No way.
And who knows, maybe Graham Mertz plays like a top four pick. So against
Maybe
Utah,
they lose to UF. I
maybe
don't
they
see that
lose to
happening.
UF. I
I
don't see
think
that
they probably
happening
have
either.
like, yeah, I think they have like a 75 to 80% chance of beating UF at home in the
Sure,
opener.
I agree. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I'm not high on UF either.
Florida, Baylor, UCLA, Oregon State, USC, Oregon, Washington. This is a tough schedule.
Yeah,
I,
definitely.
I don't want to disrespect, like I don't even think it's disrespect. It's not disrespecting the Utah Utes or
Not
their
at all.
program. It's just a tough schedule, and they're
Tough
not
schedule and a tough conference this year.
like even like I don't think Georgia would go 12-0 here. Like I don't think any of these top teams would just run
Yeah,
through
Georgia. Yeah,
this schedule.
exactly.
Like this is not an easy
Georgia had to play
schedule.
at USC and at Washington. Maybe they drop one, you know?
Yeah,
At Baylor also. I mean, they are
this is
Georgia, but
yeah, like n- mo I, m- very, very, very few, if any, schools would go 12-0 here.
absolutely.
Probably most would go 11-1. Like of the really, 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 really
Right,
good
of
schools.
Alabama or Ohio State or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Michigan. Um,
Yeah.
I like
So
the under. You like the under.
yeah,
I think the under
that
is the
was
move here.
yeah, that was a pretty clear one. I mean, we both liked the under, and it wasn't really much like debate at all.
Yeah,
It's just a tough schedule. I think it's just the result of a tough ass schedule.
tough schedule.
Um,
Hopefully they do well. I'm rooting for them. I like Utah, but
yeah, I don't hate Utah at all. I have no
yeah,
like animosity towards them at all.
yeah. The only thing I hate is that they lost to
Um,
UF, but that's basically it.
let's see how like unbiased you are when we do the SEC
Oh
the
yeah,
SEC win totals that we have to grade UF.
it's a good thing that UF isn't that good, so it makes it easier to hate on
No,
them.
yeah, their win total is terrible. I think it's like 5.5 or something.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, no, that's
SEC,
awful.
SEC, SEC.
Woo. It just means more.
Who who's
Um,
who's next here? I I,
next, okay, so we
I would
finally
guess it's like one of the Arizona schools.
good guess, but no.
Oh, okay.
I think we are finally leaving, the upper class of the Pac-12. It's a
Yeah.
big upper class, really big upper class, but I think we're finally leaving it, and we're going to what I believe is our singular middle class team in the Pac-12, which would be Wazoo at
Okay.
6.5.
Shout out to that guy that pulls up to college game day every week with the Washington State flag. Everybody loves you. Everybody. You're like fucking awesome.
Right. Except maybe Washington fans, but
Yeah, yeah. Washington fans don't like you. Everyone else likes you. Everyone else expects you to see you at
yeah,
game day.
that's crazy. Let's see. Washington State. So 6.5. The over is at plus 140. Damn, that's crazy. And then the under is at minus 165.
And you said, sorry, repeat the win total one more time.
6.5. So Vegas thinks they're going bowling, but just barely.
So they dodged USC. That's the first thing I
Mhm.
noticed.
They went 7-5 last year in the regular season.
So the non-con is interesting because they played Colorado State, Northern Colorado, wow, and Wisconsin. They play, wait a second. They play Colorado State, Northern Colorado, and Colorado Buffaloes. Three Colorado teams this season.
That's kind
That's
of weird.
goofy. That's
That's
goofy.
super goofy.
Oh, dude,
Why
let's
are
just
they
play.
playing at Colorado State? What? Why? Why would you schedule that? That's so goofy. You got to go halfway across the country to freaking Colorado to play the Colorado State Rams. Damn,
Yeah. At
that's
least the other two Colorado teams they play them at home.
yeah, yeah. So
But
Wisconsin, what do you think of that game? They did win. They beat them last year at
yeah,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, what was the final score of that game?
Let me check it out.
I actually don't
It
remember
was
this
a
game too
close
well.
game. Washington State won 17-14. It was like
I
a Big Ten battle.
I think Wisconsin was okay last year. They
Mhm,
had to get the new coach, Luke Fickle.
mhm.
Um, I think Luke Fickle's a really good coach. As we all know, he took the only group of five team to the four-team college football playoff. A crazy feat in and of itself. This guy could
Definitely.
coach. This guy could coach. I would lean Wisconsin, but it's like a 55-45 lean, like a slight
Yeah.
lean. I'm not
And
talking
it's and it's at home. It's at, Pullman. So
I still lean a little Wisconsin.
no, yeah, I would say it's a toss up, but yeah. Yeah,
It's
I
yeah, it's a
definitely
toss
think
up. It's a toss up. And if I had to bet money, I'd bet Wisconsin. But I wouldn't even bet on this game. It's a toss up.
fair.
Uh
Um,
this is not like it's not an easy non-con. Like I don't expect them to go 3-0. Do I? What do you
but they
think?
could for
They
sure.
could, they could, but they could also go 2-1, and maybe they even go one
Worst
and
case, they
two.
go 1-2.
Yeah, they can even go 1-2.
That's
So,
not out of the question.
um,
Washington State just hasn't like established themselves as like I don't think they recruit well enough for us to guarantee them that win at Colorado State. If it was at home,
yeah,
sure, for sure. But they have to go to Colorado. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
I don't know why you would do that, but yeah, I don't feel great about that game. They should win, but I don't feel great about it. Um,
Imagine Colorado State beats Washington State, and then Colorado loses to Washington State. I think Colorado State plays Colorado. We'll get to that shortly, but
yeah, they do pick Colorado State.
this is interesting.
Yeah.
This is not like a super easy schedule for the standard of Washington State.
Hmm.
If the over under you said 6.5, I think.
Yeah.
I I think they go bowling. I think they go bowling at 6 though.
Oh,
I think the under this is like they do dodge USC. They play Oregon though at Oregon.
hmm.
They play UCLA at UCLA, Oregon State, Washington, of course, the Apple
Their road
Cup.
games are tough.
That's already four losses. And then if they lose to Wisconsin, five. I don't know. I see a 6-6 season here. I would go the under. Maybe they don't
Yeah.
even go bowling. Maybe,
Right.
but
Yeah. I see them definitely going under 6.5. I think Vegas has this right for sure with them leaning under. Um, I don't think they're that good. I think they're kind of in the same boat as Oregon State. Oregon State's just a better team, and they don't recruit well. Washington
yeah,
State doesn't recruit well enough to go to UCLA and beat them, or go to Oregon and beat them, or even go to like Arizona State and beat them. Like
yeah.
convincingly, or like have like a for sure win or something like that.
Hmm.
They do get Stanford and Colorado at home, which is good, which is huge because I think they're both terrible.
Hmm.
But I don't. There's not enough sure wins like that on the schedule to get them to 7. No way. I don't see
Yeah.
7 wins.
No, I agree. So where does that take us? What school is next?
So the next school, there's a bunch of schools at exactly 5 as their win total. There's 3 of them exactly. There's Arizona, Arizona State, and Cal.
Let's go Arizona State next.
I like that one.
I like Arizona State is interesting.
Hmm.
They bring in new head coach Kenny Dillingham from Oregon, previously at Florida State.
Oh,
He was pretty sure quarterbacks coach. And then in Oregon, offensive coordinator. This is the guy that helped Bo Nix. This is the guy that helped Jordan Travis.
yeah.
And don't they bring in the guy that was supposed to go to UF, the recruit?
Oh yeah, that 5-star. Yeah.
Yeah, the
He
five
was
star. What's his
he
name?
was actually committed to Miami and then flipped to UF, and then UF fumbled back. This episode has basically been like a UF bashing show.
Guys, if you
But
do not
yeah,
like UF, please listen to this podcast. Um,
I don't have as much hate for UF obviously as Eddie, but yeah. No,
what is
no.
his
So he
what is his
was
name? Jaden. This is a
Jaden
Rashada
Rashada.
kid.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So he was committed to UF, and then apparently UF fumbled the bag, didn't want to like agree to some NIL deal or
They
something. I
didn't
don't
want
know.
to
I'm not
pay him what they probably told him that they would pay him.
I don't want to say anything crazy because I don't think any of that is official, but like something like that happened. There's an NIL mix up, and then he ended up going to Arizona State. But obviously he's a freshman, so I don't expect him to like have an impact or anything this year.
Sure. Their coaches coming in, maybe not maybe. They should this guy should
Yeah,
rekindle relationships with the players. The players gave up on the previous head coach. Um,
absolutely.
so this is not all just to say that, oh, they're gonna hit the over, they're gonna do well. That's just something I wanted to bring up, like a little context for a slightly
Mhm.
lesser known team, at least this year in the Pac-12. So
Right.
with that being said,
Yeah. So they did go 3-9 last year, and like you said, they're literally like the definition or like the poster child of like a team giving up on their goofy ass head coach.
goofy.
So I think they will be much better this year. Do I think they're gonna be 3 wins better? Do I think they're gonna go 6-6? I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe. But if I think the 5 number is pretty good. 5.
Let's go. Let's say
I
some guaranteed losses.
okay.
O Oregon at,
Yes.
at Utah,
Yes, for sure.
at Washington for sure,
Yes.
and then USC. That's
Yeah.
four. And then
How
if
about
we're,
how about at UCLA?
I was gonna say that that is probably a loss for them as well. Like
Most likely, yeah.
like most likely, like 90%.
They could win,
They
but
could. It is in the realm of possibilities.
I would be shocked. I would be pretty surprised.
I'd be shocked. And another one I'd be shocked about too is Oklahoma State in the non-con, even though it's at home. Uh, I don't think Oklahoma State's that good. Like so much better than Arizona State, but they're more
But you know what
established.
you're getting. You know
You
what
know
you're
what you're
getting with
getting. Yeah, they could return to form. They just played for the Big 12 championship not too long ago. Like this is
yeah.
a real team, and not to say Arizona State's not a real team, but they're not bringing in, new staff and all this stuff, and
Yeah, so that's already including Oklahoma State. It's already 6 losses. Um, and they still have to play Washington State, Arizona, at Cal, Colorado. So, they could go 6-6, but I like 5. If I had to pick, I would say lean under, but because I think 4 wins is more likely than 6. But like I think 5 is perfect. I think
I th
5-7 is actually what they're gonna go this
I
year.
I agree. I would go under as well.
Not a super strong lean, but I would still lean under. So
Yeah, they
which
could
one you
surprise
wanted?
us. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's why. Like with the first year head coach, you never really know.
you
Like it
never
could
know.
just be
They could
much
even
better.
beat Oklahoma State and then
Yeah.
clean up business, win who they're supposed to win against, go 6-6, or maybe even 7-5. But yeah,
I think it all really hinges on that Oklahoma State game, to be honest. If they win that one, the over looks
if they
so good.
and if they lose, that's when that's not just a loss win, like a win loss. It's how you lose. If they lose
Yeah.
Did they get like blown out?
True.
Under
And they're
for
under for sure.
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But if they just lose, 3 points, 7 points, it's a close game, then we could have some
Then,
leeway with
then I
this.
think they're gonna go 5-7, which is what I thought like already
Yeah. Yeah.
going into it.
Yeah.
And there's a chance to them go like obviously if they win, then that over looks really, really good.
Hmm.
Okay. So next team. Arizona or Kyle? You want to stay within the state?
Yeah, let's go Arizona. I think that's good.
Okay. Arizona. I have them in my algorithm at 3.5 projected wins. And their win total is 5, according to Vegas. It is there's value on the over at plus 135, and the under is at minus 160. That at Mississippi State game looks
Juicy.
tricky.
Yeah, that's
Big,
tricky.
juicy game right there.
Even UTEP. Is UTEP still in Conference USA, or did they upgrade to the
I
American?
think I think they upgraded to the Atlantic.
To the American.
I mean to the American, my bad.
Let me look it up really quick.
Let's see. 5 wins. Mississippi State, I think they lose
No,
for
they're
sure.
they're still in Conference USA.
Oh,
So
they are okay.
so this is probably the best Conference USA team. Conference USA is not good, but this is the best team. They could even lose to UTEP.
That would be crazy.
They could.
But they could for
I don't
sure.
really think they will necessarily, but it wouldn't surprise me if I wake up the next day and I check out the scores and I see that UTEP won by
Right.
3 or 1 or
Yeah.
something. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It would be like, oh, nice upset.
Yeah, cool. This is why I like the sport.
Right. Let's see. At USC loss. At Washington State, I would probably say loss.
Mhm.
They do play at Colorado. That might be a really good game. I
At
think Arizona's
Colorado
a better team. Yeah, it's at
and later in
Colorado
the year,
and it's late. They could be like
Dion,
battling for a bowl game at this point.
two desperate teams.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Their schedule isn't horrible for this total, for
Yeah,
this 5. I'm not sure. What do you think?
this is not a great team.
Yeah, they're
This
not
is
good.
this is again, Pac-12 is pretty good this year.
They were awful last year. Um,
I think that UTEP game is a big one
yeah,
for this. And then this is tricky. You said what did you say again? 4.5?
no, 5. They did lose
5.
to, yeah, 5 even. They did lose to Mississippi State at home last year by 22 points. So that's concerning. I think that's an auto loss, I would
Yeah,
say.
that's an auto loss. Mississippi State is actually pretty decent.
They lost at Cal, which is not a great team.
My
But
goodness.
but then they did win at UCLA somehow.
Oh,
I remember that. They won at UCLA by 6 in in November.
Pac-12 burgers over
So
here.
that's just a Pac-12 like crazy game that
That's
always
just Pac-12 burgers.
yeah, definitely. I don't know. I would also lean under.
I
I don't
would
have a
also lean
I don't have
under
the
just
guts.
because it's not a great team and
Yeah,
the schedule is not easy. The non-con is even not even easy.
right. Yeah, no,
Mississippi
there's
State,
two possible like real like chances that they lose for sure.
yeah. Like they should beat Northern Arizona. I mean, if they let the Lumberjacks beat them, that'd be something.
If they let the Lumberjacks beat them, then they're probably the worst team in like the Power Five.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
would go under as well. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I like 5, so I would go push, but if I had to pick, I would go under also. We're in agreement with a lot of these. There's not a
We're
lot of
yeah. I think
not a
once we
lot of
get
differing opinions so far.
yeah. I think with the lack of a middle class in this conference, it
It's pretty easy to like
it
kind of pick these. Yeah.
yeah, and to agree with a lot of them. Once we
Right.
get to like a school, like I think the Big Ten, I know it's not the Big Ten episode, but I think the Big Ten is also lacking of a big middle class. They have a bigger middle class than the Pac-12, but it's really like the three contenders, and then a couple schools in the middle, and then the Big
Everybody else
Ten
is the
West,
same.
you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
and then ACC has a little bit of a middle class as well, and then of course the SEC has a middle class, and even the Big 12 too.
Big 12 is wild. I think they're like the
Big,
most balanced.
that's
Um,
wild. We're probably gonna like agree and we're gonna it's gonna be all over the
we're,
place, that one.
we're gonna disagree with a bunch in the Big 12 and hopefully like agree with some.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's the thing with this conference, this Pac-12. I mean, like all pretty much so far, all the good teams, the upper class that we've, talked about, we've gone over, and all the lower class so far we've gone under. So for the most part.
for the
But
most part.
yeah, it's interesting. All right.
So Cal,
To to Cal.
Colorado, or Stanford? Cal.
Yeah, Cal, because Cal's also at 5.
So Cal at 5. Northern Texas, Mean Green. They should win. Auburn, they should lose. Idaho,
They should, but they could win because Auburn has to come all the way to freaking California.
California. Yeah, and
And
that's a
Auburn,
brand new
Auburn's
coach,
a little tricky. First year head coach.
Hugh
Never,
Freeze.
I think they have a legitimate chance to win that game against Auburn. Like I think it's like a
What
toss
would
up.
you say it's like a percentage? Like 30?
I would say 50-50. 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would
Auburn,
have
I don't think they're gonna be that good this year.
I would have said like 30%. Or for no, like I guess leading maybe like 40%. Um yeah,
Idaho's
Auburn shouldn't be that good, but I think Auburn is probably
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Auburn is definitely better and they have way more talent for
But
sure.
you're
But
right.
maybe
It is in California.
and first year head coach for Auburn, you never know.
You never know. Maybe this guy's a burger. Or maybe he burgers this game. I don't think he is a burger. I think he's actually a pretty decent
He
coach.
could have a one-time burger. Could have
But
a
he
little
could have
burger.
a one-time burger. Pac-12, you know.
Ooh,
Eh,
at Washington. I do like where the bye week is though in the schedule.
the
It's
bye
later
week
on.
is favorable. It gives them time to prepare for the
But they
slaughtering of the next two
Yeah,
games.
dude. I mean, this schedule is tough. It's kind of spread out, but this schedule is tough. At Washington, at Utah, home against USC, at Oregon, at UCLA. Jeez. I mean, they don't get a break, really.
They don't get
They
a
play all
break.
the good teams.
Although this is a tougher schedule,
Yeah.
you could kind of say that the all the tough games are kind of in the middle though. Like the really, really tough ones, like the Washington, Oregon State. Like the
Mhm.
beginning and the end is
Are
nice.
okay.
The tail ends
Yeah,
for them.
they're nice. If they somehow beat Auburn, I
It
I would like the over more.
Yeah, yeah.
But this schedule is so tough. In my little algorithm, I have them at 4.5 wins. And if they had a normal schedule, like maybe if they dodged Oregon or something, maybe I would take that over. But
If
but
only if only they could
no,
play Colorado.
that's one team you do not want to dodge,
Yeah.
at least this year.
You convinced me. You convinced me here. I was gonna go the under.
Oh, oh,
Down
oh,
go the Tigers.
oh, I like it. They're gonna be underdogs in that game, and I might put some money on that. So
You convinced me. I think they could beat Auburn. You put some sense into me. And with that, they can win a couple of these other games that really they should clean up. They should win
mm.
North Texas, Idaho, um, and Arizona State maybe.
If they start 3
St-
0 all they have to do to at least not go under is to win 2 of your Pac-12 schedule,
Yeah.
which is pretty
And you should
reasonable.
win 2 of the Pac-12.
Yeah.
You should just win 2 games of your conference.
Right.
I
Like
mean,
if
it's not
you're
like
not
you're Colorado or something.
right. The returning production is really good. I think it's pretty high.
I'll
It's
go
at
over.
68%, which is solid.
I'll go wild card. I'll throw the over right now.
I'll go slight under because I don't have the balls for that right now. But if they beat Auburn, then I love that. I love the over.
Yeah.
At least pushed over. Okay. So moving on. Three and a
The
half.
the
Colorado.
tree.
Oh no. Stanford does have a worse win total at 3. But
Wow. That's
do you want to talk about Stanford first and then leave Colorado for last?
Yeah, we could talk about Stanford first. I
Okay.
think they should have put them both at 3, maybe.
Mhm.
or both at 3.5. But they only did that because of Dion and the hype, really,
Right.
and the people betting the over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, it should be equal.
Yeah.
Seeing Stanford's schedule, Hawaii, that's fun. Hawaii, Sacramento State in the non-con, and then
Mm,
Notre Dame, of course. That's tough.
right.
That's at
Right.
the end.
Yeah. I have
But
Stanford
this
winning
is
state
tough.
back
This is tough.
to
I don't think
Hawaii. Oh my God.
if they could win the
The
Hawaii
returning
game,
production is awful. The returning production is so bad. It's
really.
like 30%, 35%. It is awful.
Hmm. I'm gonna go. I just looking at like it is a tough schedule. Even Hawaii and you
You
have
have to
Notre
go
Dame in the non-con.
Yeah.
I don't know about the under. If it's a you said three.
Three flat.
I mean, I don't see them winning two games. Like, are you serious? Like two games?
Dude, man.
God, the tree? No, not the tree. You know,
I don't know, man. I'm kind of leaning under. I'm kind of leaning under. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 2-10 with wins against
I
Sacramento State and
and someone,
and someone, maybe Hawaii,
somebody,
maybe someone. I
somebody
don't know.
here is definitely gonna lose to the tree.
Yeah, I like under. I like under for sure.
It should realistically, I would bet the under. I just find it so hard. Like, I like I could see them going 2-10,
Yeah.
but man, 2-10 is so bad. Do I like? I just
Dude,
don't want to
that's
believe it.
terrible.
That's terrible. That's so terrible. That's almost as bad as Colorado, but and almost as good as Scott Frost's Nebraska. But
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That was the best 3-9 team of all time.
yeah. Oh, my
You
bad,
gotta watch
my bad.
yourself, bro. You gotta watch. That was the best 3-9 team of all time.
All the 10 million Nebraska fans are gonna come after me now. Don't let me run a Twitter poll. They're all gonna vote
Yeah, they're all
for,
gonna. It's gonna be.
for
It's
Nebraska.
gonna be all Nebraska fans. No, I
With
love Nebraska. I want Nebraska to be good, like badly, but
yeah,
I hope my rule works out for them. But
put some spice in the Big Ten West.
definitely, they should run that. But them
They
in
should.
Wisconsin should run that freaking division.
So now going
And
on to
Iowa would.
Colorado. Colorado. This look
It's
three
at
and a
three and a
half.
half
This is
officially.
the easiest under. If you want to make free money, if you want to make free money, bet the under. I'm not a financial advisor. Bet the under. Bet the under. Make free money.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see Colorado winning 4 games.
Tough non-con. Tough conference. TCU, Nebraska, even Colorado State, they could lose. And then the whole
They could go
gauntlet.
0-12.
They could they could go 0-12. They could do worse than last year. Now I doubt they do worse than last year, but they could.
They could.
It's
They
a
really
tougher
could.
schedule.
Yeah. I
And they
think
won
Nebraska
one.
is just better. TCU is obviously way better. I mean,
If they go 0-3 or 0-5 or whatever,
it's over. I don't think they'll win a game.
if they lose to Colorado State, it's over. Throw it away. It's over.
Throw away the season, throw away all the Dion hype. They're gonna be bad for a while.
Yeah.
Like, um, I don't
Sorry,
see them
Deion
winning 4.
Sanders.
I don't see them winning 4. You just can't turn around a team that fast. They were like in the 100ths of like every position group. They were like in the 100s of like
Mhm.
all FBS schools. They were awful last year.
Yeah,
They brought in a bunch of transfers, but they were 1-11, and like I don't know how fast a team can gel in one off season.
totally.
Maybe Dion's the truth. Maybe he's really good, but I don't see it this year. I would be shocked if they even get to 3 wins.
Prime. But yeah, I agree. I don't see it. And I'm not hating because
I just don't think their returning production is terrible. Their recruiting is not good. Their
there's
position
reason
group
to
rankings are
believe
horrible.
they're not gonna be good. I'm not hating just because they took Travis Hunter from us. There's reason to believe.
I have no animosity towards Colorado. I just don't think they're going to be good. They could be good in a couple of years, but I don't think they're going to be good this year at all. I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to be close. They're not going to sniff a bowl game. I don't think. I could be completely wrong. Maybe Deion Sanders is a god and his son at quarterback is
Yeah.
amazing, but I don't see it. Not even close. No way they're coming to a bowl, getting a bowl.
Well, we're wrapping things up. We have about a minute left.
Oh wait,
Really,
wait, wait. Yeah, before your question, I have a simpler question. By the way, I have no idea what Eddie's gonna ask, but apparently he has a question for me. But before we get to
I
that,
have a good question. It's to set the tone for the podcast.
hold on, hold on. What are your favorite aspects, like overall, of college football in comparison to, like, let's just say the NFL or any other kind of sports, pro or college?
So, disclaimer, I like the NFL. I like other sports, especially NBA and NFL and college basketball. I mean, I love those sports. The reason I think college football is so special, especially in comparison to something like, let's just say the NFL, is for sure the rivalries. Um, you have some of the biggest rivalries. I think they're as big as like Barcelona, Real Madrid, like on that level rivalries. Like Michigan, Ohio State, huge. Auburn, Alabama, Iron Bowl, huge. And then all the other rivalries like Georgia, Florida, Florida
Right.
State, Miami. You know,
I
there's
think, yeah, I think there's just a huge number, like the amount of rivalries that like are like up to the level of like passion, like each fan base has that level of passion for, like, a bunch of rivalries, and I would put, like, those top ones that you said, obviously, like, there's just nothing else like it, nothing else like it.
NFL fans I've met. Like, I mean, most people like the NFL. I've met NFL diehards are like, oh, college football doesn't even compare. The product is so much better in the NFL. It's so much better. That's what they say. Maybe not. They're probably right. Like the product may be,
Yeah, the product itself is better, but that's what makes college football so good, is that
yeah.
they're not that good. They're not all pros.
Did you see like like the Texas Oklahoma game a couple years ago? The one that was like 52, like they were in the
Oh
50s, both
yeah,
of
that was
them.
insane. That was
Dude,
insane.
like the craziest game in the NFL by far, at least in our time, is it wasn't it the
The Bills Chiefs in like the
no, it was Chiefs Rams.
Chiefs
The one that was like
Rams.
52, 56, 52 a couple years ago, like 2018. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I just know the crazy ass one with the Bills and the Chiefs where like
Okay,
Josh
that was
Allen
one of
scores
the
with like
craziest
13
playoff
seconds.
games. That
That
was
one was like
crazy.
one of the best playoff games I've ever seen.
But there was a game like 5 years ago. I think it was Chiefs versus Rams, and that
Mm,
that game like the total points scored was like more than like 105, and
okay.
that game was crazy. I remember watching that game, and that's what the Red River rivalry shootout was like 2 3 years ago.
Right.
There's these
And that
crazy
happens all the
games
time. That
that
happens
happens
all the
all the
time.
times. What about the LSU A&M game? The game that went
That
into the
was
70s.
absurd. Yeah, it was like 74 to 72. That's
Absurd.
ridiculous.
And then they changed the rules, unfortunately. So college
And
football
then the
is,
reverse, the reverse where like it's friggin' like Virginia Tech and Wake Forest where it's 0-0 at the end of regulation.
yeah, yeah,
They have like
dude.
completely disgusting games like that.
Or I mean, what was I thinking about right now? I mean, dude, the game like Georgia versus Oklahoma in the playoffs, or even
Right.
dude, TCU Michigan, like
Yes,
all
dude.
these
Insane.
crazy games.
Insane.
Like, these are
Ohio
like,
State, Georgia. That was
and you wouldn't see these
crazy.
games like those games. You wouldn't see that in the NFL. You don't
Yeah,
like
not even close.
the
Not even close.
craziest game in the NFL is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, it's awesome, but it's not as crazy as the college football games.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
So that's why I think, and like as you said, like it's so crazy, and the passion itself, it's
Mm,
awesome.
yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. I would add like each individual school has like super unique, traditions. Obviously the FSU entrance with the friggin' with the horse and the spear, like that's just crazy. That's
It's
crazy.
awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. Every school has like their own thing. Whereas like in the NFL you have that a little bit, and like other sports you have that, but not nearly as like to get the crowd like super riled up or
Yeah,
something like that.
and
Um,
it's only a few of the teams. I think I said this analogy before, and I'm not the first person to say this. But the NFL, when I watch pro sports, especially the NFL, I see it like, oh, it's Coca-Cola versus Pepsi today, or McDonald's versus
Right.
Burger King.
It's super like production like ready. It's all like super
Corporate.
commercialized. Yeah. Yeah.
These are schools, these are students, these
Right.
are people like most of these people, most of these student athletes will not go to
Right.
the NFL, will not make millions upon millions upon millions.
Right.
They're probably gonna be businessmen, engineers, like regular people,
Yeah.
regular
And like
people.
they're playing for the most part. Now NIL's kind of changed the game, but for the most part, they're playing just for like pride and for heart, and like you
Yeah,
just don't have that. You're not playing for a contract like in the NFL or the NBA.
yeah.
And obviously, I'm with Eddie. Like I love the NBA, I love the NFL, I love baseball, and I love college basketball and college baseball. But like college football is just completely different.
This is
Completely different.
different. It's just the best time of the year. Plus, it's on Saturday. I mean, NFL's on Sunday.
That's crazy. It's
That
crazy.
Saturday is better. Saturday is just better. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, just and I have a question for you, Richie.
Okay. I'm ready for it.
Describe your ideal burger.
That's not a question.
What would
Okay.
okay, fine. Let me phrase it in a question way. What would the ideal burger
Hmm.
be like on a Saturday atmosphere for you?
Oh, okay.
Game day
So
atmosphere, not bye week atmosphere.
so the perfect burger for a game day would be on a charcoal grill,
Yeah.
you know, you're tailgating, you have a beer, you have a lot of beers, you're you get whatever. I like what is that shit? Ground chuck, 80% lean, 20% fat.
Ooh,
You blend it up,
delicious.
you put some sazon completo or some shit, whatever that shit's called. You mash it up with your hands, you make the little patties, boom, throw it on the grill. The charcoal gives it a nice flavor. And then for most of my like steaks, like my regular steaks, I prefer medium rare.
Hmm.
But for a burger, it's a little different. I like a medium, just
Yeah.
straight up medium. Because like if it's too bloody for a burger, it doesn't really like stay together.
Hmm.
So, for normal steaks, medium rare, but for a burger, I'll cook it medium and it's still delicious. And it
What's the
needs to
cheese on
be.
it? What's the cheese?
Oh, that's a good question. I like American cheese. American cheese is fine. I like provolone.
Mm,
Provolone's pretty awesome on a burger. I'm not a fan of Swiss, but American or provolone is fine. And then some tomatoes, some lettuce, a nice bun with sesame seeds,
mm,
and then nice and juicy, and especially down here when it's like 500 degrees, it's the best. It's the best feeling in the world.
yeah.
So
You,
that's my
you
ideal burger.
you described a great burger.
Thank you.
Who's playing? Like, let's say you close your eyes. Who's playing at the Hard Rock
I
that
close my
Saturday?
eyes. I take one bite of the burger, and probably something like versus UNC because those games are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
And I've been to a couple in the past few years, and like they're a lot of fun. And UNC, like it's just like a classic ACC game. Like
Hmm.
we're not rivals or anything, but like it's
Coastal.
just a normal middle of the road ACC game that's usually pretty good.
Yeah. I think you described a pretty great burger. I wouldn't change too much about it. I would love to be at that tailgate myself, watching a
Absolutely.
different opponent, watching my team play against UM, but the same tailgate, same
Of
everything else,
course.
same
Of
burger.
course.
Um,
Yeah, if
and
we're playing FSU, it would be, it would most likely be a night game. So we're just partying for hours before,
oh
like the whole day, basically.
goodness.
I don't know, like I would probably have a burger like early in the day, and then as it gets closer to game day or to game time, I think we're just, you know, not even thinking about food at that point. Everybody's way too hyped. Everybody's drinking too much, and at that point, food doesn't even enter my mind. So
Yeah,
that's like a rare instance. That's the exception.
yeah. But with that, we conclude episode one. I think it was a great episode.
You know.
Um,
So yeah, we got through the Pac-12, and hopefully next time we'll get to the Big 12. Is Texas back? Are they actually gonna, live up to expectations? And
is Texas back?
are they back?
Are they back? We'll see. Texas
So
fans, tune in.
So we'll talk a little bit about the Big 12 and some conference realignment because that's I think is the conference that's getting impacted the most,
Mhm.
obviously, from that. So with that being said, we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys next time. Peace out, Rich.
Peace.